MOUs with those boards, we can refer satisfied with the of the notice that we would have issued. Or we can recommend actions. Once we note that the accounting officer is not implementing, we can recommend actions to resolve the MI. So we elevate and issue what is called recommendations. Notifications, recommendations. Again, we give accounting officers enough time to implement. We then go back and assess whether those recommendations are actioned. When we're not satisfied, the accounting officers enough time to implement, empower the AG to actually then assess whether those issue binding remedial actions. So this is more or less the stage, the third stage of this journey. And it's a stage that for us doesn't define success. For us, success is when you issue this notice the first time and the accounting officer, accounting authority implement all or resolve the material irregularities, then we are successful if they are successfully implemented. But if we are not picking up progress, we are not happy with the implementation, then we keep elevating to the next level. Then last stage being, of course, the issuing of the certificate of debt. These are the ones where there will be a direct financial loss that speaks to the material irregularity, and you have been given enough chance, because this is a legal process. You have to be given enough chance, enough stages to implement all these notifications, recommendations, remedial actions. If the AG is not satisfied with the actions that the accounting officer had to take, then can issue a certificate of debt. And I think it was important just to highlight the success, because there's expectations by the citizens, by the stakeholders, that we should be issuing a certificate of debt. And we are going to issue a certificate of debt in the event that the accounting officer doesn't act on these notifications. But for us, that is not successful. For us, we are successful when the material irregularity has been resolved in line with how we would have recommended it to be resolved. Right. If we can move to the next slide, Makopo. So in terms of this journey, Honorable, we thought let's just update you, not only for the national only, but just overall, the population of the MIs that we have issued since the start of the journey. We started through phasing it in and staggering this process in staggered fashion. We started off by implementing it only on 15 auditees in the first year, because we were also testing these change management processes in the organization, and also training our own staff so that they are diligent as they implement these MIs. So as we are currently, last year, that is in 2021, 15 October 2021, we had notified on 233, so we had issued 233 notifications for material irregularities, right? And then as we speak now, as we report now, prior to finalizing our PFMA report, that is, as at the 15th of April, 2022, we were with 327 MIs. You'll see that the number of MIs and the auditees don't talk to each other. There's no error there. You'll find out in some auditees, there will be more than one material irregularity. So there's no error there. So there were 372 auditees where we had issued about 327 MIs. And in that event, by 15 April 2022, 10 of the MIs were resolved or were closed. I think it's important that I elevate that. So of these MIs that have been issued, the estimated financial loss to date come to 14.7 billion. So all these MIs, in terms of where we could quantify the financial loss, it comes to 14.7 billion. And then spread across the spheres on local government, we had issued 185 MIs for local government at an estimated loss of 3.9 billion. For provincial government, it's 82 MIs at the estimated loss of 2.1 billion. And the national government, which is the business of this committee, we have issued 60 MIs, translating to a financial loss of 8.6 billion, right? Overall, the state of all the MIs as they are. And Honorable, something I needed to say before I talk to these MIs, we had supplemented the slide last night. I think there's 2 slides that you don't have in your pack, the first one and this one, because we thought, let's not just jump to talk about the 60 MIs that are the business of this committee, but let's just start by giving you an overview of this environment so that you have a picture of how it looks. Okay, Mokoboy, if you can move to the next slide. Right. Okay, now on these MIs, what is it that we have found? So again, this is still the overall picture. Maybe let's go to the next picture where we talk to the national departments, the business of today. Mokoboy, you can move to the next one. Right. So if we drill deeper to the business of today, Honorable Muthelezi, where did we find these material irregularities, the 60 that speak to this environment, estimated at the financial loss of 8.6 billion? Bulk of them are in the procurement and payment environment. As you would recall, when these powers were extended, it was mainly to deal with lack of consequence management, in particular for this area of supply chain. And again, indeed, if you stratify these MIs and do a deep dive, bulk of them are in the procurement and in the payment space. And then there's a few in the resource management space, a few in the revenue management, also a few in the interest and penalties, and just one that speaks to fraud and compliance. And then coming back to the ones that speak to the procurement and the payment environment, of course, 17 and 1, which is 18, speak directly to the procurement environment, where there was non-compliance in the procurement processes. Either there was overpricing of goods, or suppliers that were not properly appointed, or suppliers that did not deliver on what they had appointed to deliver. And then on the payment side, there were 22 that we have raised, where there was payment of